Kamala Harris' 2021 assignment was to address the root causes of migration. She was directed to oversee diplomatic efforts with other nations and help enhance enforcement at the borders.
President Joe Biden named Kamala Harris the Borderxer, a title and moniker she embraced entirely, but a job and role she utterly failed at.
The United States has a United States border czar. And as far as I know, the United States border czar has actually never been to the border and seen people cross illegally.
Okay. Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making. I'm not discounting the importance of the border.
Well, I mentioned it because I know Republicans have certainly come at you on this, but Democratic Congressman Cuellar has a border district, has said to you and the president, come. You need to see this.
Listen, I care about what's happening at the border. I'm in Guatemala because my focus is dealing with the root causes of migration.
Since the media is the primary source of information for the majority of people about national and international affairs, they always abuse their power and responsibility. One of these big, fat lies that the media has started to tell is this one.
But there's also something a little bit insidious going on with Harris and the media. There is an attempt to rewrite history and airbrush her shoddy record of border control while in office. So-called fact-checkers at Axios were left red-faced after their fact-check was labelled misinformation. They wrote the Trump campaign and Republicans have tagged Harris repeatedly with the border czar title, which she never actually had. Eagle-eyed users were quick to dig up reporting by Axios itself, which included lines like this. The number of unaccompanied minors crossing the border has reached crisis levels. Harris, appointed by Biden as border czar, said she would be looking at the root causes that drive migration. Now, it is offensive and Orwellian to lie so brazenly, and Axios was not alone in this lie.
Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People are going to have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. You know, she was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
The media is deceiving the public into electing a candidate who lacks the necessary skills by spreading lies. This is evident in their desperate attempts to rebrand Kamala Harris since she emerged as the Democratic presidential nominee, erasing her past and history that do not align with the current political landscape.
One of Harris's greatest assets, however, will be favorable media coverage. Indeed, mainstream reporters are already trying to protect her on one of her most vulnerable issues. On Wednesday, Axios accused Republicans of unfairly faulting Harris for the dysfunction at the U.S. southern border, writing, "The Trump campaign and Republicans have tagged Harris repeatedly with the border czar title, which she never actually had." This notion that Harris was never named border czar is contradicted by earlier reporting in Axios. An April 14th, 2021 article by Axios reporter Shauna Chen explained that, quote, Harris, appointed by Biden as border czar, said she would be looking at the root causes that drive migration. That was not a one-off, by the way. Axios published 3 separate articles, all referring to Kamala Harris as the border czar, using that specific language. Caught red-handed, Axios demurred and published the following correction. The article has been updated and clarified to note that Axios was among the news outlets that incorrectly labeled Harris a border czar in 2021. They would rather say they were wrong than admit she was the border czar. Now, the updated article says that, quote, border czar was an unofficial moniker, as if the difference matters. The truth, let's just talk about the truth, is that Harris was in fact assigned to lead the administration's handling of that specific issue, and that is now inconvenient for the campaign since immigration and border security is Trump's most winning issue. Sorry about that, but it is, in fact, the truth.
And this is how they are rolling, because they really don't care. So right now, Kamala Harris, as incompetent at the job as she is the in thing, and the media will stop at nothing to keep up the lies.
I think they want me to wrap it up. Thank you for watching, everybody.